Hey, honey.
No answer from my husband today as usual. Since when did this happen? When did we stop talking? I just had my second child, and my body is not recovering as well as I would like. And yet my husband did not care about me or take care of our oldest daughter. He just kept ignoring us. What is going on? What happened while I was giving birth to the baby back in my hometown? Our little girl was not the cause of the problem since she was left at my parents' house. If so, what in the world could have changed my once kind husband so much? In the midst of my growing distrust, an unexpected truth is revealed. I was at the end of my patience. This is absolutely unforgivable. I'm gonna throw him away. I decided to leave my home with my eldest and youngest daughters. My name is Tracy, 34 years old. I'm an ordinary office worker in an ordinary company. I met my husband Gene through work, and we got married 6 years ago. The following year, our daughter Rita was born, and she will soon celebrate her 5th birthday. And I'm happy to announce that we will soon have our second child. I have a 6-month-old baby in my belly. At the time, I was having a hard time having a second child. That's why I was so happy when I finally found out I was pregnant. He gently hugged me and said, "Tracy, this is really great. I'm so happy. Baby number 2 is finally here."
Oh, that's great. It's thanks to you working so hard all this time.
Yeah, I'm so glad. Thank you, Jean.
What are you talking about? I'm the one who should be thanking you. I know it's gonna be another tough few days, but I'll support you as much as I can.
Even though we've been married for a long time, my husband has remained a kind man and a very generous and good father to our daughter. When I was pregnant with our daughter Rita, he did everything he could from the beginning to the end. When I had morning sickness, he took care of the cleaning, laundry, and meals without a single complaint. Of course, even after the birth of Rita, he did the same thing. And when I was nursing my baby every few hours and needed a lot of sleep, he said, "I'll take care of it. So go get some sleep." He took the initiative to help with taking care of our child. It was because of my husband's devoted support that I was able to overcome the challenges of childbirth and childcare for the first time. When I think about it, I can only thank my husband. With him, things will go well, even if we have a second child. I'm sure that Rita will be able to help too because of the age difference of our children. I was fulfilled by imagining a happy life with my family of 4. I was going through my pregnancy period. Then one day, while I was browsing baby products on the computer, my husband said something like this.
You know, Tracy, it's about the birth, but I have work to do, so what should we do about Rita? Can we talk about it now while we have time?
Sure. I'm going on maternity leave too, but if I'm about to give birth or if I go into labor, I won't have time to take care of Rita.
I guess so. Even if I take her to the daycare center, I don't think I can pick her up in the evening.
I see. You have to work overtime. I'll think about it.
I'm sorry. I know it's not easy with your growing belly. I'll help you if you need anything.
Okay, thank you.
I'm so glad I married my husband, whose every word is warm and gives me peace of mind. I was so glad to be married to him. However, there's no time to be careless. There is a possibility that the baby will be born in a little less than 4 months if the delivery is a little earlier. Considering Rita, it would be better to take measures as soon as possible. So I decided to contact my mother.
It's been a while. She answered cheerfully and immediately started talking to me.
Listen, Mom. About the time of the birth, Jin is so busy that he doesn't have time to watch out for Rita.
Oh, is that so? Then why don't you come home here with Rita?
You mean I'm gonna have the baby there?
Isn't it the same with Rita? We should let Jin take it easy once in a while.
I see. It's better for both of us, I guess.
My mother suggested that I give birth at my hometown.
It's been a while. She answered cheerfully and immediately started talking to me. "Listen, Mom.
About the time of the birth, Gene is so busy that he doesn't have time to watch over Rita.
Oh, is that so? Then why don't you come home here with Rita?
You mean I'm gonna have the baby there?
Isn't it the same with Rita? We should let Jean take it easy once in a while.
I see. It's better for both of us, I guess.
My mother suggested that I give birth at my hometown. But I wasn't planning to go back home to give birth to my second baby there. Rita was my first baby, so I went back home, but I wasn't planning to go back home to give birth to my second baby there. I wondered if I should let myself be spoiled by my parents for my second child. I felt like I had to do something by myself, and that I also wanted to be pampered. I was utterly conflicted, but when I thought about my daughter first, I felt that it would be better to have my parents take care of my daughter. That Friday, I waited for my husband to come home and told him about my mother's suggestion. The front door opened a little after 9 p.m., and my husband walked into the living room.
And home.
I opened up the conversation to him. Haejun, it's the thing we were talking about the other day. My mother wants me to give birth to the baby in my hometown.
What? Your hometown? Isn't it gonna be hard on your parents?
She said that I should let you take it easy once in a while. I'm sure Rita won't be as lonely if she's with my parents.
That's true. Then I'll take your word for it.
With my husband's consent, I decided to have the baby back home. I hurriedly contacted an obstetrician near my parents' house, and she told me to have an initial examination about a month before the due date. I decided to return to my parents' home 2 months before the due date. I was sad to leave my husband, but I could bear it somehow, imagining the happy life with my family of 4 that would soon come. 1 month later, little by little, the things my husband said and did began to bother me. I have been in touch with my husband every day since my return to my hometown, but we have hardly communicated for the past few days. I thought that he might be busy with his work, but it is not a busy season, and he is not likely to be at his office for such a long time. My husband's mysterious behavior continued until just before the birth of our second daughter, and he did not come to the hospital immediately, even though I informed him that our second daughter was born. It was the 3rd day after the birth of our second daughter, May, when he came to visit us at the hospital.
I'm sorry, my timing didn't work out.
I was angry at my husband, who said such words with an apologetic smile on his face. It was Friday when our second daughter was born, but he came here on Sunday. He should have had yesterday off from work. He had rushed to the hospital right away when our first daughter, Rita, was born, even though it was an hour drive away. I couldn't suppress my emotion and asked him coldly why.
I was working on Friday, you see.
But why didn't you come yesterday?
Well, I've been through a lot. Sometimes I'm tired and need a break.
You should have come yesterday. Our daughter was born, Jean. You used to come see me right away. Jean, something seems off with you.
I shouted out loud, and my husband sighed deeply with an exasperated look on his face. He was in a clearly bad mood and gave me a cold stare.
You know, Tracy, aren't you becoming selfish? I'm sure the birth was hard, but why should my behavior be restricted too?
Restrict you? I didn't mean to.
I mean, I finally showed up in the end. So what's the problem? I feel really bad.
Jean?
I'm just wasting my time. I'm leaving.
Hey, wait. Jean?
My husband walked out of the room without a second thought. It was too instantaneous for my mind to catch up. Why? Did I say such a bad thing? When your wife's having a baby, don't you usually rush to the hospital the next day, even if you can't make it on the same day? If he was at work, or even if he had a day off yesterday. I felt certain about this thought. My husband was looking forward to the birth of our second child, and our relationship will continue to be as good as ever even though our family is growing, or so I thought. But in reality, I may have just been thinking that way. My husband became a changed man after a short time of not seeing him, and the kind man I knew was gone. The transformation of my husband continues even 2 months after the birth. Jin's attitude has become colder and colder, and now we don't even talk to each other. He comes home late, at the latest after 11 p.m. When our daughter tries to talk to him on the weekends, he ignores her, and so she can't even have a conversation with him. As for me, I feel so sorry for my eldest daughter, Rita. She used to love my husband, but now she looks at him coldly.
Hey Mom, I hate Dad. She finally said something like this.
I gently scolded her, patting her head.
Don't say that. Dad is busy at work.
I don't know about that. Dad used to be nice to me even when he was busy.
Rita.
It is true. My daughter was right. My husband was not the kind of person who neglects his family just because he is busy with his work. And yet, a month later, I tried speaking to him.
Hey, honey.
Today, as usual, there is no response from my husband. I just had my second baby, and my body is not recovering as well as I would like. And yet, he does not care about me or take care of Rita. He just ignores us. What is going on? What happened while I was back in my hometown? Rita was left at my parents' house, so it is not because of her. If that's the case, what in the world could have changed my once kind husband so much? I feel distrustful of him, and got angry with him. While I was cleaning his room, I found a small piece of paper in a crevice under the closet. It was a business card of a cabaret club. It was probably from a woman who sat at my husband's table, and I've never heard that he goes to cabarets. No, I thought he was not even interested in such a thing, but here it is on the floor of my husband's room. I had a bad feeling. I immediately checked the drawer. As I hurriedly opened the bank book, my bad feeling gets confirmed. The $80,000 that we had saved together after our marriage was empty. The $5,000 that I had saved for my daughter was also gone. At that moment, something snapped within me. I was at the end of my patience. You've got to be kidding me. This is absolutely unacceptable. I'm gonna get him out of our lives. I decided to talk to a woman who my husband and I knew, and who was a good friend of ours. She had divorced a year before due to her husband's affair, and she told me to consult her if I had any problem. At that time, I thought I have nothing to consult with her about, but you never know what will happen in your life. After consulting with her, she took my place because I couldn't leave the house. She asked me to hire a detective agency to investigate my husband's background. 2 weeks later, the day of the results of the investigation arrived. The envelope showed the image of my husband going to a cabaret club every night. There was no longer any need for him to be in our home, I thought. I packed my belongings and, with the baby in one arm, gently pulled Rita's hand.
Mom, where are we going?
Like you, Rita, Mom doesn't like Dad anymore. We're gonna visit Grandma and Grandpa, okay?
Okay, I would like that.
Good. Let's go.
Fortunately, she didn't mind, and we could go back to my parents' house without any trouble. When I told my parents about the situation, they were furious. 2 days later, my father contacted my parents-in-law and explained the details of the incident. Immediately after that, my mother-in-law called me and apologized several times. 3 days have passed since I came to my parents' house, and I have not heard from my husband. Then I suddenly received a call from him.
Yes.
When I answered the call casually, Jean shouted angrily at me from the very start.
Hey, stop messing around. You said something unnecessary to Mom and Dad, didn't you?
Something unnecessary? My father is the one who called them. And he only told them the truth.
How can you lie about me going to a cabaret?
It's not a lie, is it? Then what were you doing till late every day?
That's why I told you. I was working overtime. You're making me look bad to your father and mother. What the hell do you want? Anyway, I'm on my way there now.
My husband hung up the phone and arrived 2 hours later with a red face. He stared at me silently when I opened the door. I moved my daughter to another room and let my husband through to the living room. Jean sat down in front of my parents, smiled his usual kind smile, and started talking to my father.
Well, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I got you involved in our quarrel.
Joy?
That's right. I was just working late, but Tracy got lonely and misunderstood somehow.
So you lied about going to the cabaret.
Isn't it obvious? I've never been to such a place.
I see. Then what's this?
My father slammed the photo I had given him on the desk. My husband's face instantly turned pale when he saw it.
Why do you have this picture?
The man in this picture, for all intents and purposes, is you.
That's...
With this solid evidence, are you still going to make excuses?
Jin's previous bravado is gone and he is beginning to shake and tremble. Finally realizing his situation, he turns to me and gives me a forced smile.
Tracy, it's not like that. At first my boss invited me and I had no choice but to go.
So what? After all, you went there of your own free will, didn't you? You used my savings and my daughter's savings.
That's... I was going to pay you back. You know, believe me.
Believe you? How can you say such irresponsible words?
My daughter and I have suffered so much because of him. I was so angry that my whole body felt like it was burning. I found myself grabbing my husband by his collar and yelling at him.
You've got to be kidding me. You've done what you wanted all this time. How can I trust you? Are you crazy? How much more of your selfishness do you have to push on us?
Tracy, what's going on?
It's not just me. You hurt Rita too. You paid a cabaret girl, but you went cold turkey on your precious daughter and couldn't take care of your own family. You betrayed our family. How can I forgive such a scumbag?
Calm down, okay? We'll talk. You'll understand. Please.
Shut up. Don't ever show your face in front of us again. Go home to that cabaret girl, you bastard.
As I said this, my husband burst into tears.
Please forgive me.
He mumbled again and again. It was so pathetic and funny. After that, my father grabbed my husband's arm and forced him out of the house. The next day, we had a meeting with my parents-in-law and made them agree with the divorce. Of course, it was not just a divorce. I would ask for the repayment of the money he spent without my permission, alimony for the emotional pain he caused me, and child support for my daughters if I can claim it. I found out later that Jean had been in debt to the cabaret girl. He was not only paying me but also paying her too. With that much money to repay every month, it would be impossible for him to lead his life as before. But I have no sympathy for him. He got what he deserved. He should suck it up. I, on the other hand, had decided to rent an apartment near my office to return to work. My mother frequently comes to my house to help me out, so I don't have to worry about anything in particular. Being a single mother will be a big disadvantage in the future. Still, I will try to raise my daughters with love and care as much as possible.